Hi guys, KO here. Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila, where we are working to inspire positive, radical social evolution. This is an incredible open mic today. I welcome Syn Martinez, the founder of Afrobrutality. It's a lifestyle, it's a brand, it's a straight up movement. I've known Syn for, over 10 years now, and this is probably one of my favorite conversations on the Turmeric and Tequila mic thus far. The energy, the mission, the vision. We unpack everything from diversity to branding to marketing, fitness, health, and how we're going to change this world moving forward. He has some incredible things in the works, and he more than deserves it. So I cannot wait to see the full impact and the full fruition of his visions come true right in front of all of us. The world is better off for it. Syn, I appreciate you. I'm cheering for you, and let's keep in touch.
Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila with your host, Kristen Olson. Questioning a better way, one gracefully disruptive conversation at a time.
Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila. I'm pumped today. We have a bit of a fitness reunion happening here. I have Syn Martinez in the house. He is the founder and creator of Afrobrutality. They came out here, I think it was 2008-ish, like 12 and a half years ago.
Yeah.
And I always let the guests kind of unpack their situation, but Syn and I cross paths through CrossFit, through fitness. We've done a few business ventures together, which a couple of them I even forgot about because it's been so long. But we're going to talk a lot about fitness and lifestyle, fitness and diversity or lack thereof. We're going to unpack some of the branding things. They have some really cool new things happening with Afrobrutality and some major strategic partnerships. So we got to throw some love there. But before we begin, I just want to give this quick little blurb about Afrobrutality that I think really sums everything up. It says, Afrobrutality is a mindset for people who care about being healthy, who care about succeeding in life by any and all means, who will do whatever it takes to add positivity to their life and the people around them. Yeah. So without further ado, Syn, welcome to Turmeric and Tequila.
Hey girl, what's up?
Hey.
How are you? It's been so long, man. Damn.
Literally, I think so. Right before we got on the mic, we were saying I think 2014-ish. We were both at the games. Man, there's so much change there. Did we initially work across paths because of Barbells for Boobs?
Yeah, we initially somehow, I don't even know if this was before you got to Barbell for Boobs. That's what I'm trying to figure out because we initially contacted some weird way. It was through basically email. Okay. But I think maybe it was the first venture you were doing. I don't know if that's your first one, but the one you and I did together, which is the C9 champion. And you were looking for people and athletes, had heard about me through whatever. Yeah. And man, that was such a great sponsorship. I don't think I ever said thank you, but man, it was too much. Yeah, it was. I didn't know what to do. The opportunity was so big that I just didn't understand. I didn't understand it. It didn't make, you know what I mean? They were like, anything we wanted. We could have went to Target and picked up stuff. We could have. Yes. I mean, it was super serious, and I didn't know what to do with it, So I did the best I could,
Well, this was the beginning. I mean, this is before Instagram. This is how old we are. But before Instagram took off, before all these new social modalities, for better or for worse. And so it was all deep grassroots, and this influencer marketing was just starting. And I had done that a little bit because of lacrosse for my first company, and it was cost and time effective, and we never had budget, so we knew how to do these things. But it was still brand new, so we were navigating the waters. But I saw what you were doing, and I'm like, this dude's onto something. He's completely doing it his own way, and there is no right way. There still isn't, and I would argue this even with any consulting company. But the key piece that I always appreciated about you is you were doing it your way, but you were constantly evolving because everything around us was changing. CrossFit was changing, the market was changing, and even now it's a whole different situation. But yeah, I had forgot about that. I think I picked out 6 or 7 partnerships for C9, and we, as kind of crazy as it seemed, we actually did a really good job. We made some incredible traction that I don't think they even understood until this day, but that's okay.
I mean, I had it, at the time I was grassroots. So I had Elizabeth Akinwale, I had Asia Bartow, I had, his name is Hernandez. I can't remember his first name, but little guy, and then I had my Harlem team and a few others in Boston. But man, that I still have those pictures. Those are some of my favorite pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, all of us in complete champion with Afrobrutality and WA. Like, it was just, you gave me so much autonomy. You know, you gave me so much creative control. It was just, I didn't even understand the scope of it.
Yeah.
I remember when she took me, I can't remember her first name, but she took me to the warehouse and she opened it up. She's like, well, just take what you want. I was just like,
what the hell? What's going on here?
I didn't understand the scope of it, you know what I mean? And I never said, I don't know if I ever said thank you, but I wouldn't be where I'm at now if I didn't have something like that early. Wow. We're talking 2010, 2011. Like, if I didn't have the type of reception I had through CrossFit super early, it wouldn't give me that little, that little bit of juice when things is totally fucked up and totally out of place. But that start was such a tremendous start that I was just like, man, this is just too big to fail. Like, I don't think I could mess this up. I think I really found something. And, here we are, girl.
But it was real. And like, even though things have probably become more of a process and understanding now, we were literally blazing that trail at that time. And this trail, again, it's constantly changing.
Absolutely.
But everything we were doing was right. I mean, it was totally like, we don't know what's going on. There's product everywhere. There's opportunity. What do we do with this? These humans care about it. Let's give them an outfit. Like, is this working? There's no way to measure it, but it was. It's still a lot of what I do today. It's a little more organized, not really, but sort of. But it's the same kind of thing with brand ambassadors. You find great people with like minds, and you bring them on the ship.
But with that kind of inception, when I first got in, was just enough to say, man, and the type of feedback I was getting was just like $1 million feedback, from what people would consider, regular people, but because they don't have that branding mindset. When I was getting the feedback I was getting and then taking it based on demographics, gender, where they were geographically, I was just like, okay, all right. Oh, okay. Then it started to really make sense. And that's when I really just pushed, as hard as I possibly could. And took all the risks, Well,
I mean, I think you were always pushing as hard as you possibly could. You're not a human that strikes me that's ever like laying back, waiting for something to happen. Like, I know you're on the front lines of change all the time.
That is true.
Casual. So catch me up. Let's talk about Afrobrutality. For anyone that doesn't know, the brand has grown exponentially.
It's ridiculous.
Dude, I've been keeping up and keeping track. And do you actually remember, I think, our first crossing? So my first company was Sierra's Lacrosse, and I
had sponsored a lacrosse team that year.
Okay.
Sent them with my design. So I think somehow in that synergy was how we, combined and decided to do this.
Yeah, well, I did a design because we were trying to spread, lacrosse is notoriously a white rich kid sport. And this is 20 years ago when I got out of college. So we were trying to do diversity then, and we had no idea what we're doing. And again, we're still navigating those waters. But I had designed a logo that was like just an outline of a human, and it was it was essentially an afro, and then I had a lacrosse stick stuck in it. Yeah.
Oh my!
And I said,
God, that's right.
Pick Sierra
you
socks.
sent it to me like, what the fuck? And I'm like, fuck them. I remember this.
I think you posted it and you're like, no, I got too much hate. We had to take it down. I was like, oh, my bad. I didn't print the shirt because I was like, maybe this is intense. I had no intention whatsoever, but it was good feedback even then of like, okay, we got to realign.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it was, I think that was our first crossing. And
yes, it was. Absolutely. That was Facebook days.
Yes.
Like, way back.
I know. But anyway, so now that we have literally been on the front lines of this whole everything becoming a brand, grassroots marketing and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's literally just happened as our businesses were rising. But tell me about Afrobrutality now, everything that's going on. I saw Puma. Let's throw it out there.
Oh my God. Here we go. So, I put it in, man, it's, this has been my personal covert operation. And what I mean by that is, I'm 25 years was in corporate America before I even got to CrossFit. And in there you get the, hairstyles that are good and bad, the shoes that are good and bad. You get kind of like the rules of the industry and how to carry yourself professionally. So I remember just sitting back and getting more into startups, getting more into like pre-IPOs, getting more into like the nooks and cranny of what it took to like build something, to have your own imagination and start building it. So when I went from companies like Verizon or Bell Atlantic and found myself in companies like Windstar and Streaming Media and all these different type of more kind of grassroots good ideas that were all web-based, I said, man, I wonder if there's something that I could do. So the name of my first company was Synistics, and I was going to just basic on Syn and then logistics, right? So I was in corporate America, kind of figuring out if I could get into that tech space, and I was during the bubble. It went up and blew up so quickly, and one thing I held on to was, once we were finally laid off and we're all in this conference room and then they bring in the, transition specialists and all this. And I'm like, oh, and I had the, office on Park Avenue. I had a driver, I had unlimited Amex, it was just, everything my mother wanted, everything I was going to school for, right? And
the resume.
Here it was, just boop, take it away just like that. I built a corner office in my house. And I said, they'll never be able to take this from me, and then I started just building my own thing and trying to figure out what that was. And I had an image of when I was a child, I loved Ghost Rider, it was my favorite comic book. And every time they put that flame on, I didn't necessarily see flames every time. Sometimes I started to see an afro, and this image start kind of just drilled in my head of this skull with an afro, and I kind of just, I became domesticated and went to school and all this, got a job. And I didn't think about that image again until we were sitting down, had done CrossFit Renegade for about 2 years, and then finally caught the attention of the community, and they came out to see us and what are y'all doing? And, it was so beautiful, that type of reception. And then we started talking about names of the CrossFit and all this. And we had like CrossFit Uptown, which was pretty good. And that was just geographical. And we were like, yeah, Uptown's considered Harlem and South Bronx, boom, boom, boom. I was like, all right. But by then we had already done CrossFit Renegade for 2 years. And every time we went there, they would ask us two things. Where are you from? And we were like Harlem, and they would just call us CrossFit Harlem. So I was just like, you know what? I think this is probably the smartest thing. Don't need to change anything. This is what people think anyway. So we went with that. But when it came to that representation of, let's say, Harlem, let's say myself, it really touched an old nerve of civil rights and Black power and stuff like that. Sure. And it just immediately took me back to the skull with an afro. And I sent it to a few people. We sketched some things up, and then that became my first logo. And I had CrossFit Harlem in the front, and then the logo, and then on the back, we had to come up with some kind of mantra. This is what the thing was at the time. Everyone had their little mantras, So, and I thought about the skull and the afro. I was just like, let's just go with some Afro something, So I had almost like a list: Afro terrorist and Armageddon and all this stuff. And then brutality was just nice. So we just threw it on the back in Old English, and the rest is history, That's where it started, that's where it started.
So what was first steps? Was Afrobrutality completely synonymous with the gym, or were they really two different things for a while?
So it was synonymous for a while. I did that. It's organic how that changed. So how that changed was my first shirt, CrossFit Harlem, on the back was Afrobrutality. That's when I started getting the feedback. Some people would say they looked at that front and they were like, man, give me one. And then some were like, man, that front's cool. And then they would see the back and they said, oh, yep, got to get it. So it was like it complemented each other well, and it hit each other well. We were able to kind of be in the CrossFit community, because we did that. Then we were still able to carry that message with us. And then my sweatshirt was the opposite. So it said Afrobrutality in the front and then had CrossFit Harlem on the back. So when various guys that I knew would do interviews with my sweatshirt on, it would only say Afrobrutality.
Okay.
And that started to kind of change and play where I was like, ooh, they seem to like this. They seem to, really gravitate towards this. And then in 2011, there's a picture, and I'll send it to you if you don't have it. And we're on the handball courts, and I got two clients, two of my athletes right in front of me. And one has a shirt that says Unfuckwithable, and the other one has one that says Afrobrutality. And that caught the attention of CrossFit. They put it on the social media.
Okay.
A lot of the comments were like, where can I get this Unfuckwithable shirt? So my very first, Afrobrutality shirt without the word CrossFit was Afrobrutality, and on the back it said Unfuckwithable. So I just started playing with it,
Yeah.
If I learned anything, it's you've got to trial and error. There's
100%.
Corporations spend billions on R&D, research and development. We have, because we're small enough and minded enough, we can start playing with these things with just the people around us and public opinion. And those are the same people that turn around and become our customers, So it's like, I've been doing that. And that's really what I was trying to do was, okay, what if I do that? Not everything was a home run.
Sure.
But everything was two main things: something that was directly associated with me and something that was directly associated from the type of messaging that I wanted to get across.
Yes. And this is, as a much younger human, there was things that as I've gotten older, you start to like harness your skill set and recognize what you're good at, even if it's not really like a thing yet, or it's in front of your mind.
Right.
But something I was pretty good at early on, I think this is because of my sports experience, was recognizing visionaries and leaders and humans that were doing things a different way when it didn't make sense, but they just were. And because it was authentically them, it made sense. And I couldn't articulate that then, but that's something I absolutely saw in you. And I'm like, this dude's onto something. Like, he's got his own angles and it's working. And I think it's because it's so authentic, people naturally gravitate towards it, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and I saw that early on. And then as things had grown, and I'm sure you know this at this point, what we were doing then and what we're doing now, as far as like facilitating those communities, are deeply, deeply valuable to this world, because this is what we need. But for businesses, it's critical. Like, they come in and they're like, all right, we have this dude, he authentically operates in this community that we can go pay to have this set up, or we can go into this space, compensate them accordingly, do it the right way. And obviously on our side, we have to filter out, some of these companies that have ill will, or, the heart's in the wrong spot. But what you're doing is deeply valuable. Like, this is major for companies to come in and talk and say, let's brand this, or let's be part of this, let's support this. It's a big deal. As you've done this, have you had to walk away from some opportunities, like things that didn't feel right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to walk away from Nike 2 or 3 times.
Straight up. Oh, they kept coming back.
Well, I got different departments. So the first one was from when they were starting to talk about the Romaleos. So I'm dating myself, but this is like 2010. And at the time I was kind of business managing Kendrick Ferris. Okay. So, I got in touch with the Romaleo guy. Him and I were talking back and forth. What messed that up was, Kendrick had an infinity to Adidas, and he showed up at the Arnold Classic and all Adidas, and my Nike guy was in the audience, and he was like, meh. Okay. So I approached them about just using me as a way to bring in these types of athletes, and they were all for it. They said, Syn, you just got to change the name of your company, and I think we'll be okay. I said, what? I said,
oh, wait.
Are you kidding me?
When was the timeline of this? Because then, they went the whole... Okay, because then they went the whole extra route of supporting, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a Kaepernick, like when he kneeled on the field. So like, this is like a...
Well, it was lack of dollars. This was a brand new, I don't know, I think they still linked it together with it. I think they call it APS. So it's like, It's weightlifting stuff's in there, boxing, fencing, like the specialty sports are in there.
Okay.
So I don't think they had enough. They didn't have those kind of mindset people in there. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
In order to see something that, was going to take some time to develop, so they just, it kind of was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. No
Right.
hard feelings. I said, but the point of this is my people want to see that logo on the back of that heel. That's what they want to see. And if they can't see that, then they're going to feel like, I had to become something other than myself to achieve that. So I'm not doing that.
Yeah, no. Well, and again, this is when that marketing branding space is still evolving and like it's new conversation, now 10 years later.
Right.
But that's the most valuable thing you have to hang on to. And had you compromised then, but then your community sees that you compromise. This is what I tell like influencers all the time. Like if you have 1 million signs in your yard, meaning like a 50,000 brands you're supporting, they can't see it. If you have 2 or 3, they can see it. And then you lose your clout as a quote unquote influencer. Like it's deeply important to protect, your heart, your mission, your brand, whatever.
The first one was 2009, 10-ish. Was approached by like a Tilly's,
Okay.
PacSun type of situation. Offered me $100,000.
Wow.
For the company.
Okay.
And this is I'm just getting started.
I was gonna say, okay.
On the website, I'm just getting started. But they had seen me do enough stuff and they said, okay, I can see where you're going with this. And they saw it immediately. But I walked away. I was like, nah, I'm still developing this, but if they're gonna offer me $100,000 and I don't even have a website yet, I must really be onto something.
Yes.
So I just kept developing that on my own. Then Nike came to me through other representatives. So your girl, I think her name is Tracy. Do you remember her?
Tracy, what was this from?
This is the C9 days.
Tracy. Oh, Tracy. Yeah, Tracy Copeland.
I think so.
Yes, she's out. She's a Nike influencer now. God, I haven't kept up. I've sort of kept up with some of these humans, but not really. But it's a small ass, fitness world anyways. Yes, I loved her. I still do love her. I just haven't talked to her forever.
This was a little early. This was about 2015 after the C9. We sort of kept in contact a little bit of here, a little bit of there. I finally just was like, hey, let's get some coffee.
Yeah.
Let me pick your brain. And she wanted me to kind of do the tap dance a little bit. And I was like, not really my style. You know what I mean? No hard feelings. And, I reached out a few more times, but then I just let it go.
Okay.
And the other time was after I got the BuzzFeed. They came to me about 4 years now almost. And they did a whole feature.
Okay.
And I got contacted immediately because I think one of the guys I go to the gym with just happened to be a Nike guy. And at the time, Nike was big in my gym. We were the first to try on the new Metcons and all this other stuff.
Okay.
And somehow that went from setting up a meeting to dead silence. So I was just like, okay, well.
Well, some of these situations are so huge. Like, and as you said, the way you can be mobile as a smaller situation and still have large impact, still kind of like operating on a grassroots level. But again, you have exponential reach. It's huge. I went from, I think it was C9 to Reebok to Barbells for Boobs. Mm-hmm. So when I was working with Reebok and we directly did stuff in CrossFit, I don't think we worked together then because I was like mountain and then.
I remember seeing you once or twice.
Okay. Right. I think I knew who your rep was and I had talked to them about getting in touch with you or something.
Right.
But the difference between that and C9 were the handcuffs. Like we could kind of do a lot, but not really. And like, again, no one really got influencer marketing at that time. And it took 10 years to make a 2-second decision. So things just, because it's so big and there are so many like different departments and it had to, it was
man, it's huge.
It's brutal. And
it's huge.
I think that's why you see some of the athletes nowadays getting away from the bigger fish in the sea and going to some of these smaller ones because they have more control.
Definitely. Because it's, it's like a direct vein.
Yeah.
Now you don't, as long as, because that guy's got credibility and everyone knows he's just not going to sit next to this guy just because he's who he is. He doesn't care. I don't give a goddamn.
Well, the brand leverage only goes so far anymore. Like, these are big names to drop, but so what? Like,
I'm with you.
Well, okay, so tell me about Puma. This is big. I was so pumped when I saw this.
All right. So, 2 things happened. 3 things major happened. One was I closed my gym in 2015 officially. Like, forget it. Like,
okay.
This chapter's over. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then I just, I'm sitting at home, trying to not have to get up at 5 a.m, not have to open the gym, not have to get the water, not have to pay the whoever, not have to, like, what the hell? I don't have to do any of this stuff anymore. Yeah. And I was functioning on high level from 2008 until 2015. I mean, high level, and when I first started out, my barbell, my entire gym was in my truck. So I'd have to set up, take an hour or so to set up and, be there all night and then do it every day. So I got to switch gears.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. So, I had said to myself, like, okay, it was one time when I was low, I was like, I closed my gym so I could stop coaching the community and coach the world. Like, these are the things I was saying to myself to get myself through how I was feeling. You're letting all those memories go, those clients, those times, that was my first gym, like first inside my rule gym. Like,
it's the baby.
I ran it like a dictator. I didn't play no games. Like, what? So I started, Instagram started to come into play a little bit. People were posting some junk ass quotes. So I would just be like, I would say that, but I'm going to say it like this, because people know me, and I just kept kind of playing with it. I'm going to try this, try that, this. Sometimes I would put graphics on it and pictures and designs and all that. And I just got better at trying to figure out how to voice what I was thinking. Yeah. And I always equate it, and you'll get this. So, people are like, oh, you curse so much. I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, a proper response, but only to someone that would understand is like, have you ever coached someone to squat 300 fucking pounds and convince them to do it again and convince them to do it again? Or convince them, like, you can press that 225. So what? What you gonna do? What's the worst thing? What you have to say to convince human beings to go past what in their mind conceptually is their limit.
Yeah.
And you're doing that every single day. Like, I ran it like a fucking farm. I felt like I was like a fucking training camp and everyone's coming out to represent me. You know what I mean? When they leave, they sure enough gonna say this guy this guy that. So I was like, I was hammering those people. So
I believe it.
I have to give all that up. I started to try to figure out that sign, that inner voice. Like, how was I able to kind of push these people past their own limits? So I just kind of homed in on how I was feeling, and I did that for a little while. So I had a season from pretty much 2015 to about 2016, 17, where it was just fuck the world and fuck this, that, purge, get rid of this, delete that, move on. Like, that's my entire messaging. And then I started like opening up to things that I kind of had kept to myself for a long time. One was my relationship with my son. We had went through a bad time. He was getting into some things, on a street level. It just touched me that I would, everything I went through with this kid, and now he's doing this stupid shit. So it put a huge wedge in our relationship. And then one day I was just like, you know what? I'd seen someone, an extended family, because we do a family reunion every year. And I saw like his uncle, and I was like, damn. You might have seen him in 10 years. I'm going to give you all together. So I got them together, brought us together, and then, I patched it up. And it really, because I let that go, it just opened me up to more things. So my messaging got cleaner. It was direct, and I was almost given instructions on different situations almost on a daily basis. So that caught the attention of the world to a certain extent. And I found myself with all these fitness influencers reposting all my stuff, and some have millions of followers.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So I would always notice when they did that, I would get like 10,000 followers. I'm like, how did I get 10,000 followers?
Yes. Good energy, man. Good energy.
So I started to realize what I was doing, even though I'm a coach, and my background is like weightlifting and that type of thing, that essence, that spirit of what pushes human beings to be the best they possibly can be within the time frame we have, it just became something I could just correlate in conversation. I could correlate in a speech. I could correlate online, and I just kind of did that. The Puma thing came in after I went through a tough time. A friend of mine committed suicide, and all that CrossFit racist stuff was coming up, and I was getting so many calls every single day, and podcasts and Zoom calls, and I'm talking to Glassman, I'm talking to Glassman's wife or ex-wife, I'm talking to all these people that I haven't talked to in a very long time, and they're all, what do I say, what do I do, how can I help, whoa. So my messaging was very limited for a little while. It was like love wins, and we got to figure this out, and what's going on here, some Marvin Gaye, kind of vibe. And I went to see my mother, who I hadn't seen in a while, and I took my lady with me so she could meet the mom.
Big steps. Okay.
So I contacted almost everyone I knew in Boston. I was like, I'm coming through. Where's your gym? What time? And I went to see Mel Ockerby, who was a big thing in our time in the East Coast. We call her the Powerpuff Girl. She wore pink all the time. So she got a gym that's literally 8 blocks from where I used to live. And next to Papagino's, which was my second job as a kid. Yes. So I'm taking pictures with Mel, and one of the brand VPs go to her gym, and somehow they got into a conversation with me, and all of a sudden she's texting me. She said, Syn, what's your email address? And I gave it to her, and the same marketing VP, introduced herself and said, let's talk.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Dude, I love it. Well, so there's a good chunk to unpack here. I think because you are the brand essentially. And brand has become, since we've connected last, brands become this thing, and everyone's a brand now, and brand is almost like influencer. It makes my soul cringe, but it's a good thing. You are your brand. So it makes complete sense that as you're going through different phases in your life, the brand, the voice is reflecting accordingly. Tell me a little bit about, and these are major things. Life is hard. There's so many things going on, particularly in 2020. What a crazy year, and we're way late to a multitude of race conversations and everything else. And you guys are the pillar of diversity in CrossFit, which is sad in itself because CrossFit is so huge now, and it's still really not that diverse like lacrosse. And it's crazy. Right. How are you? Are you spiritually inclined? Are you religious? What was this guiding light that was pulling you through some of these situations that was fostering self-evolution, which in turn was fostering brand evolution? Wow.
That's a great question. First one I've heard of this level. So I'm going to go slow, but because we're recording this, you may have to rewind it a few times, but I'll go as slow as I can. But it's a good question. It's a comprehensive answer. It's a very good question. So the best schools growing up were Catholic schools. We lived in the suburbs. So as the only Black family in this particular town, which is Acton, Massachusetts, we were right up front, at the church, right up front. I was first communion. I was altar boy, So the funny thing about doing that was you would think the influence was more mystical type, right? You would think that type of influence would come from being grew up like or growing up like that. What saved us was the music. Once they said the devil is in the music, me and my friends were like up at night playing the record backwards. Okay, who's this guy? Ozzy. Okay, like we wanted to see the devil. Like not to say anything sacrilegious, but we would study Jesus, Moses. And devil got covered as the bad guy all the time. But once the music, started to catch up or was in that same vein, because I'm talking the 80s, I'm dating myself, but for me, it started with the 70s with Kiss. So I was obsessed with Gene Simmons and that type of, narrative. So I'm going to school all day about God and then devil's this, and here's Gene Simmons breathing fire, right? So I felt like a physical manifestation of the devil, who they always said was just on earth, like he can't go upstairs, he's here with us. So they kind of separated early my concept of God and devil. So I'm like, the devil's here, he's kind of cool to me. Look at him, he's breathing fire. He's got the boots on. He sings like an angel. Like, I don't really see the problem here. So it's interesting because then I would be able to go to school and debate these things, not necessarily with the nuns, but with my classmates. And we're talking religion, basically, at a very youthful level in the 70s, 80s. And then once two things that happened. I hope I'm answering your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What happened in the 80s for me personally was I was suburbs, Nantucket, Cape Cod every summer. Like that was my entire life up until the time we moved to Texas. So we moved to Texas in a place called Round Rock, which is outside of Austin. And we were one of like the first suburbs that they built. It was called Chisholm Trail. So we were in, let's say, a richer upper middle class, but we're in Texas. So upper middle class are agriculture guys, oil guys, right? So that's also redneck, right? Depending on which vein you're dealing with. So here I am, right? I'm getting this concept of heaven and hell, God and devil from a very young age in a white society, complete white society. I never even I saw maybe one or two black people until I was like 13. So here we go to Texas. I'm still white society, but now it's like farmers and ranchers and oil guys, and, 10-gallon hats, Stetsons and all this, right? That became like the luxury, the standard based on where we lived. Still white culture. Yeah. Now it's Methodist church, Baptist church, school that I'm going to. And then the problem with that was they said I tested too high off the chart, so they were no good here. So I ended up having to go to public school, which is fine. But still white society, white culture, God, devil. Now I've got Methodists in there, Baptists in there, Adventists, Seventh-day Adventists. Like these are the schools I had to go to try to figure out where I fit in the best. Put them in private school. None of this other stuff is working, right? Because I had such a real understanding from an imagination of God and devil based on what I'm getting at school, music that I'm listening to, things that my imagination are bringing out, right? So I've got this real connectivity with religion versus society versus me being black. I really didn't know I was black. If you want to be 100%, I really didn't know I was black until my first day of high school at John Marshall in San Antonio, and they said, "Why are you dressed like that? You're black." And I was like, wow. What? It blew my mind that because I was black, I was supposed to dress a certain way and listen to certain things. It was just, wow. It just kind of blew my mind. So then here comes in new data, right? I'm just uploading all this data. Black, nigga, right? Like all of this new slang, and you have pants sagging, and this color means this, and like, what? It's like a whole new world. So my brain kind of has all this stuff that really connects me to the United States of America on almost any plane you could think of. I lived in Boston, suburbs, Acton. Then we went to Maynard. Then we went to Texas, all new data, different smells, tastes, Libby's versus, Denny's, right? Like, oh, what is this?
Damn.
And the difference between society and how they separated our subdivision, because we made more money, we can live here. You made less money, you lived here. Mm-hmm. And you could see it. You could literally see it. And they had different names for those subdivisions. Oh, I'm in Rich Sky. Oh, I live in Emerald Valley. Oh, okay. Like you knew based on where you lived or where you said you lived. So I kind of have this thing that I truly believe in. And I'll share it with you. It's the first time I've shared this. So I'm giving it to you.
My dude.
I have found almost a mathematical equation of how to eradicate racism.
Oh, well, I'm here for this.
What intrigued me about CrossFit was level 1, August 28th or 31st, 2008. I'm in there. There's SEALs, right? I got Castro's there, Stump is there, Boz is there. I got Patrick Stewart's there, or Sherwood's there. You name it.
Yeah.
You name it. Now, I had casually met some military guys that came to train with me, but this is like the real deal. These are the real deal guys. And here I am in there. So the first thing that I did was I wanted to purposely wear something that was just going to diffuse everything. He's one of us. So, I didn't necessarily do my research. But I said, you know what? I bet you if I throw on a Slayer shirt, I bet you nobody's going to say nothing. Oh, he's one of us. Okay, great. So that's exactly what happened. And I learned to wear that every cert I went to, right? And sometimes I would change it up. But I wanted to diffuse it immediately. Now, that information comes from, growing up with that music, and then it being classified as white versus black, so there's some connectivity there that I know about because it's in my fabric. I was raised to understand different cultures. Mm-hmm. So the best thing and the intriguing part was that once I got out of my level 1, went to a CrossFit gym, they asked my name, if I did CrossFit, maybe 1 or 2 other questions, that's it. Didn't care I was black, didn't care nothing about my political, didn't ask me nothing about my mama, right? Didn't ask me nothing. And then once I got into that workout and they saw I was 100%, oh, you 100%.
Yeah.
You one of those guys. You do this. I do this, sir. I do this very well. And then that's an instant bond. Instant.
Equalizer.
Such an equalizer. And then the more you do that over and over again, I've realized other conversations will come to light. They say, what do you think about this police brutality thing that happened? Or what do you think about this Capitol thing? Whatever it is, they're going to ask you. And they, based on your integrity, they saw you in the workout. They've been there a little while, so they know you a little good. You're always on time. You're a good guy. Whatever it is, you've developed a reputation with them on something that's just deeper than, it's almost like it's like a little magical veil that just opens up where there's a bond there that you're going to share probably for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
And then it brings in a nice little place where you can have other conversations. Mm-hmm. And if you've noticed, like the name of my company is not, hey, jolly everybody, come hang out, right?
That's not the brand.
There's brutality. I drop the F-bomb constantly, right? There's, before contracts were signed, I put my weed right on the thing. It's like, wake and bake. Let's get with it. Like,
just be in the
total
mode.
Transparency. So if I can do this, what separates me from almost anyone?
Yeah.
It's the acceptance of information. Whatever you say to me, I've got two choices. I can actually sit here, and this takes time to learn how to listen, because you're listening. You'll know I'm listening based on my questions or responses. Because if I'm responding, then I might still not be listening. But if I'm able to take what you asked me, turn it around to a comprehensive question, you'll say, damn, he was really listening.
He's paying attention.
He's paying attention.
Yeah.
But if I start going with, girl, you're blonde, I'm out of here. Girl, you have the rosy cheeks, I'm out of here. I have just said, I've cut off the universe.
Yeah.
I have cut off anything positive that could happen if I just shut up and listen. Mm-hmm. Everything there is done. It is dead. Yeah. What am I doing? Yeah. Why do I want to take that chance? You might have the key to the universe, Keymaster. You might be the gatekeeper. You may say something I needed to hear.
Yeah.
But if I'm not listening, if I immediately cut you off with something stupid and petty, I have literally cut off God, devil, life, universe, everything. It's dead. And if we monitor how many times we do that, if we monitor how many times, I'm not listening to this guy. I gotta go. I don't want to talk. I'm too mad at you. Or you disrespected me 10 years ago and I'm still holding a grudge. I'm still on that grudge. But it's 10 years ago. I just can't get over it.
Yeah.
I'm literally cutting off any potential for good immediately. So I did the dumb shit. For a while, I said yes to everything. And then I stopped telling people I was saying yes to everything because they just, can you give me some sneakers?
Yeah. Ask for everything. Yeah.
2 pair? All right. You got to go through that. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah, you do.
And then I was taking in so much information. I started everything. Yes. And then I started to really fine tune it, where if I make a decision and I hear something, it could be the dumbest shit in the world. A bird tweet. Oh, that's that means it's time to go. Or if I get someone farted, maybe that's not it. Like I want, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't take my life for granted. And that means I can't take other people's lives for granted.
Yeah.
And if they're taking their time to say something to me, whether I agree with it or not, now it becomes redundant and you're saying the same thing. Oh, okay, now I'm gonna start shutting you down.
Yeah.
Okay, shut up. Now I'm gonna start laying you out. Like, okay, you're doing this based on this behavior. Like, I'm gonna lay you out. But in the meantime, I'm taking all that information in. So that's what I deal with.
Hell yeah.
That's how I kind of connect everything. From a very small child, I learned to take in all the information and disseminate it later. And I keep some things, I delete others. But some of that stuff, no matter how trivial it may seem, it can come in handy at times you don't even know it.
Absolutely. And it's ironic that we started the conversation about branding and business, whatever, but none of that really matters. It's about the human. But the irony to the conversation is this branding, which we know works, what you're wearing on your shirt, that you show up in Slayer and it automatically equalizes the room and it opens a door for a connected conversation to get to the human. So how we as branding professionals can build this facade and build it well with good intention. It's not bad. And perhaps, perhaps be the devil only to get you to God, meaning like to my heart, where we can talk about what's real, because none of this shit really matters. Like,
I had to get in CrossFit, navigate CrossFit successfully as a business person, influencer. I had to become the Black Devil.
Yeah.
I would call myself the Black Devil. I would wear things that were associated with Satan or whatever, because I knew what I was dealing with. I am dealing with someone that next week may shoot someone in the back.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with someone that may have dropped bombs on kiddies. Who knows? And I had to say, I can't look at this person with that pestilence. You know what I mean? I couldn't look at him with that, ooh, you done did some things, because the more I kept peeling back that layer, I'm like, you did some things, but that's why you got PTSD. That's why you're committing suicide. These are things that you didn't understand 5 and 10 years from now were going to haunt you at night.
Yeah.
So it equals itself out without my judgment.
Yeah.
My judgment is unnecessary.
I mean, just the skill set of listening is such a large thing to learn, and then continuously learn and continuously check in with that being non-judgmental. That's really, really hard. And I say that as a white person swimming in white privilege, to be non-judgmental. Like, I don't know, because it's really not your job to show up in CrossFit and represent an entire race and carry all this weight, no pun intended. But I mean, I'm glad we have humans like you that take on that responsibility. Essentially, I know, and it's cringy and it's shitty, but like, I don't know. Do you think things have gotten better? I'm using air quotes now that, we've had this very delayed awakening of racism in America and everything else. Do you think things have progressed at all in the CrossFit space specifically, or fitness space, let's say, or in the world?
The problem, so to answer your question, it's a process. There are some things better now that weren't as good back then. There's more awareness now than there was back then. But just like everything, it's a process.
Yeah.
You can't put a timeline on it. These are just things we are slowly kind of waking ourselves up to and realizing as individuals, as a society. In terms of CrossFit, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It was always uphill battle with CrossFit is super simple. We are not their demographics. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. We are a pet project that is going to take millions of dollars, more in resources, and probably in some areas will yield a profit in 5 years, some 10, some 15, some 20, depending on the approach.
Yeah.
So I have conversations. I have these conversations all the time. And it's trying to convince someone in Santa Cruz of what's going on in Harlem and what the opportunity is and how to make money from it. But they've never lived here, drove by, maybe got their hair cut, maybe had a pizza slice or two and some chicken wings. They don't live here. Right. How did you see the growth potential of any community you're not a part of if you're not in that fabric? How could you not? How could you? So everything to a certain extent, still awareness, more learning, more talking. We'll see. With the Puma thing, I'll tell you, it's first person. I think you're first person to ask me. This is the first podcast I've been on. Anyways, I have split it right down the middle. And what I mean by that is my connection bad? Can you see me?
I think we're getting some feedback, but you're right.
Okay. So I'm not sure what you're hearing.
I can hear you.
Where's the delay? Oh, okay. Okay, so I split it right down the middle. So I'm taking concepts from my mother, who's a Black Panther or was a Black Panther in the 60s, and my father, who had my father's side of the family, which is a little bit more grassroots Harlem. So there's a lot of language and visuals in what I'm doing with them that is like, it's got some CrossFit pieces in it, but it's got some of my personal heritage in it as well. So
okay,
let's see. I want to see if I can push, I guess we could call it CrossFit for lack of a better term, but like into just a new market.
Yeah. Yes. Well, fitness and health, I mean, everyone needs to know about it because it saves lives, and our healthcare system shit. So you might as well take care of your own self and avoid all of that if you can. But again, it needs to get, I always say, in the schools and get to like the base layer of our young humans, which I have a lot of faith in because they're questioning things far earlier than we did, or at least I did, and understanding things on a deeper level. For better and for worse, so much information's in front of them, but I do think a lot of them can decipher some of it regardless of the environment they're growing up in, which is another key conversation. Because I do think a lot of the parents are behind the wheel, behind the game, and if the kids can step in and just question a better way, like I have faith that they'll do it regardless of what their parents are doing, and disrupting your own environment is really hard. But what I love seeing with things like with Puma happening, or if it's Nike or whatever, I think it's a major sign of change, because I think the deep disruptions in the dollar, how we're spending our money, how we're voting with our dollar, how we're investing in certain communities, I think that's because money talks. And as much as that it's shitty, it's the reality. So when I see companies that are usually the last to change, like they don't understand it, like if it, like you said, it's a pet project or it seems cool, let's put money in it, but then it's not authentic. Like we showed up for a day and did a photo shoot, but no one that lived there. Like, and the thing is, the consumer sees through that now. We're savvy consumers. We're not from the 50s where we're just consuming and not questioning. Kids will be like, that's bullshit. We don't know any of those people. We live here. We're not buying this. And then they hate the brand forever. So when I see companies coming in and doing it authentically and doing it right, those signs to me are signs of hope. I'm like, something on the larger scale is actually changing. This is a big deal. Does that, are you excited about that, or is it kind of just?
Well, it's a process.
Yeah.
It's a process. The route that I'm taking, no one's ever taken. So it's brand new. It's totally trailblazing. And to a certain extent, it's like, it's really not only putting your best foot forward, but you're putting your best dice game on that piece. So I try to equate it to this, and only people that know music or hip hop, and I'm not being disrespectful to you or your listeners, but you might have to Google this to really reference this.
Acceptable.
So, there was a guy back in '87, Eric B. and Rakim, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just saying. Okay, you got to give me the duck face. Okay, you got to give me the duck face. So he made a song, "My Melody." Now,
like one of the most sampled tracks ever, I feel like.
Exactly, but that spawned an industry of that type of music, that type of flow, that type of cadence, and it lasted a long time. So I always try to equate myself to that. If I can just go in there with these simple things that I'm doing and start a brand new industry, man, woo. I've got my best foot forward and I got the dice rolling.
Yes.
Let's woo, baby.
I'm here for, I have the chills. Well, and I think you can be strategic. I mean, you're a business professional at this point, many years. You can be strategic in your business strategy. And I think when your heart and your mission and your energy is right, good things just start coming in. You get your influencers, you get your podcast, it's not explainable, but I always feel like my check-in point for me is if I'm in alignment and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, things start to happen. And I'm like you, like we'll train harder, we'll study more, we'll stay up late, sometimes more isn't more. It's like, get your shit correct in here and get in alignment with what you're, and then other things like the gifts or the God, I always say God, universe, or Madonna. I'm a huge Madonna fan. Like whatever you believe in comes through, and you start to see affirmations, and if you're listening, you're seeing shit starts to happen.
Now, this is the time that I can tell you that I had to change that energy from the black devil into the black God.
Okay.
I had No choice. No choice. That's how I got here, because I was able to go back to roots and a lot of things that I was able to pull out and say, man, and things just really coming together. So they gave me, I'll share this with you real quick. Hopefully I won't bore you, but they gave me 3 designs. So one comes out in February 1st. 2 more come out on Juneteenth of this year, and the sneakers, socks, and like a custom sneaker box. It's cool.
Wow.
So the two designs that are coming out in Juneteenth, they took probably 3 months to make. And it was a constant, like, we were like, I don't know if you've ever had this, so I want to share this with you, see if we can connect on this. But when you really get into like the guts of the branding, down to like the font, the placement, right? The ink, what fabrics are we using? Like, you're looking for the response, a certain response. You're looking for a certain energy to be delivered. Like when you're in there, you know, it's an organic thing. It's like a little boo-boo baby. Like you're watering it. But the reason why it took so long was we were like, okay, we want to do this, we want to do that. And their style is mood board and pieces and clip art. That's how they get down.
Sure.
I'm like, I might see a movie and I'm up all night like, oh my God.
I'm totally with you. Yes.
17 things. Whoa. Like, and then, this is why I stayed up till 1 and, I'm connecting all this shit. So those last 2, and we had conceptually, we knew what we were doing. So the second one was easy. We just kind of had to play with the illustration of it. I was like, it's almost there. Let's keep going. Ooh. And the final piece is like, ouch. And that came at like the 12th hour, and then the last one, we had to ask for an extension. We needed a week extension because we knew there was just something that was missing. So I sent him a bunch of art. Look at this. And then I had this picture, a design I made about 12 years ago, and I had never used it. And the way I made it is one of those where you're just like, I'm just brilliant. Like, I'm just right? Like, you're just like, brilliant.
Acceptable, yes.
Right, you're doing the dance. So I just sat on it. And I was, for years, and that's the thing too, after a while, you start going back to old designs and you can feel what made you make that and what you were thinking and all that. So I looked at it and I was like, this is it. And the funny thing was, I'm in my head asking myself if we've got time to put this on the design. It's that mind game, right? You're playing with, I'm like, wait a minute, this is my shit. I can, of course. What?
You're the boss.
So I finally, but you go through this. Like, this is what I go through. Like, it's like I'm constantly at war with myself. So I looked at it. I was like, I should put that on the front. I wonder if I got time to do that. I'm like, of course I got time to do that. So I'm battling myself. So I put it on there, and then oh my God, man. I am like out of my chair with excitement to see how the world is going to view these 3. I'm telling you, especially that last one. That last one is like, so I told it like a trilogy.
Okay.
My first design, which I can tell you, it's powerlifting to the people. So it's a design I made back in 2010, and it's got the Tommy Smith with my skull. It's crazy. I'll send it to you if you haven't seen it.
Okay.
So we just went with that. We were like, okay, we're going to put that on the sneaker. We're going to put that on. Okay, cool. The other 2 were like, okay. And the guy kept drilling me. He's like, Syn, you got to think about, branding this and that. Because they're trying to take me to that next level. So they're throwing big poison darts at you. Like, I wouldn't even think about that. Okay. So he hits me with it. He's like, so I thought, man, trilogy. So I'm like, okay, let's just keep telling the same story with these 3 designs. What are you thinking? So I hit him with the second one, and that one is like sequel. And it looks like a sequel because it's language no one's ever heard me use before. It's a conception that if you look at it artistically and from a fitness point of view, you're going to get it immediately. And there's some connectivity there spiritually and religiously. So that's the second one. That's like my Empire Strikes Back, right?
Okay.
But my third one is a combination of the first two and then extra laid out, perfectly lined instructions on health and wellness.
Okay.
Like, boom.
Yeah. Well,
it looks like we made it look like nutritional facts.
Okay.
Oh, it's oof. When you see it, you're gonna be like,
dude, I'm already sold. If I could bottle this energy behind any branded product, like they better be compensating accordingly.
When you see this last one, I'm telling you.
I'm already in for all three.
That last one could change the world, man. If it's really embraced, looked at all sides, and as a trilogy, that one shirt could just change. Not only, I'll tell you, it could change the industry overnight. Overnight, it could change the world. If people really look at it, really just take a second, look at every piece, because the way we did it, we put a heavy graphic on the front, and then we put right down the spine a bunch of, it doesn't look, it's professionally done, so it doesn't look like clip art, but there's like pieces and mystery and all kinds of clues and codes in there that if you really take the time to look at it, read it, and research it, that right there is my melody. That's my rock him right there. That's
full circle.
I'm telling you.
Full circle.
I'm telling you.
Dude,
that third design could marry a lot of different industries and fucking be out of here.
When does this come out? What's ETA? We need these shifts immediately.
So February 1st, we're doing midnight workout at the Puma store.
Okay.
Have my shirt on. It's gonna be the fucking dopest shit ever. So February 1st is the first one, and then Juneteenth, which is June 19th.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, socks, sneakers, custom sneaker box, crazy. And
I love it. All of this.
More shirts, 2 more designs, 2 more shirts. When you see that third shirt, I'm telling you.
I'm here. I can't wait. I'm so impressed. Puma's so in. Like, you really do have creative control. I side eye a lot of this because I've been on that corporate side, and I don't know, but it's
about 45 years I was in corporate America.
Well, it sounds like they're listening. Like I've
listened.
I'm impressed.
I am. What? You're not.
I believe you.
You are not, sir. What is your job? Okay, I asked for an org chart. I was like, can I get an org chart? Just so if I get a crazy idea, I know I can call and pester. Like, I am not playing no games with these people. They know it. They know it. I get on that Zoom call. Yes. And then I'm like, okay, we got to cover this. Okay, good.
Hell yeah.
And all I needed was, I have 2, I don't want to call them exec. I think they're senior, whatever. But I've got 2 senior management that I can text and call all the time, and they get it done.
I'm impressed. They're listening. I'm genuinely impressed. Okay. This is what we need. This is huge. Do you have full faith in seeing, kind of taking moments to reflect on your life to this point? Do you have such faith and pride that everything you've been through and done, and naturally are as a good listening human, as a kiddo, everything's culminated into this point right now? You are exactly where you're supposed to be?
No doubt.
Yeah.
You know what? I woke up, man, it must have been 2 years ago for sure. It might have been 3, but 2 years ago for sure. Woke up and I was like, man, there was one piece. So I'll give it to you. I'm gonna give you this piece because, man, this has been the best so far. So you heard me say I had to become the Black God. So I woke up one morning, I just Googled it, Black God. Do you know the Black God is a Navajo Indian mythology character or mythological character?
Okay.
I said, man, my mother's Navajo Indian. So I said, man, I said, my ancestors,
they're not playing.
Was that cooking, boy?
Yes.
To come that full circle, I was just like, wow. They were just messing with me, man.
Again, we're intentional humans, like more is more, will work, whatever. But when you really pull back, and I'm very much in a reflection point for myself in my life now, where I, do all the right things, do whatever. You look back and you're like, I'm so not in control of what's going on. Like, I got to show up, I got to be intentional. But like the way stuff was in order, and like ass whippings that I had to have, and breakdowns and breakthroughs and all the good and all the shit, like it. And then if you can kind of understand it, there are these ironic points of like, we got this. Like, just keep doing you, and things are lining up. Keep your mind right, keep your soul right, and shit is unfolding.
Once I gave up, so I gave up a $250,000 a year job to pursue this. And once I did that, and everybody was like, you have lost your mind, sir. Should we call somebody? I said, no. And made I made $18,365. Like, I don't know, 6 months or something like that.
Yeah.
And I called my mentor, man, I made 18,000. He said, what? I said, man, I made 18,000. What do we, this is off some shit I made up. Like, yeah. This is different money. This is different type of money right here. This is that real money.
It's authentic money though. That's beautiful. Money. It's a big deal.
So beautiful.
Yeah. Hi, dude. I want to be sensitive to your time. I've been one of my favorite conversations ever. I appreciate you. Where do we find you? Drop us with Instagram. I'll label everything.
Check your spelling if it doesn't come up. Then Mr. Syn. Those are my 2 pages, really. Yeah, man, it's a good time. It's such reflection. I'm fit. I don't know if you know, I'm 50 years old.
Hey, you never tell. You could never tell.
You never tell, right?
No, CrossFit. It's whether you never guess age in the gym because you never know who's what. I mean, I wouldn't anyways, but wisdom. But I appreciate you. I can't wait to see the line coming out.
Text you. I'm gonna send you some stuff so you can see it live.
Hey, please do. And if there's anything in the meantime where it's grassroots or you need some out here, my dad is still running Bladium CrossFit out here. We're still doing some stuff there. Anything that's helpful, always holler at me. We're happy to help the cause.
We're going to talk. You and I are going to chit chat.
Let's do, my dude. Well, I wish you all the best. Man, the spirit, the energy, it's so good to connect. This is literally soul fuel for me. So I appreciate you. And I'm genuinely cheering from you from Colorado.
The adrenaline shot of this.
Hey.
Like, you've seen this. You helped guide this ship, girl.
I'm here for it.
You saw it super early.
I did. I
know how this feels to tell you this. Yeah. We was there. This is 10 years, 12 there with the Facebook shit. Yeah. So I've been out here slanging and banging, trying to make this happen, man. And now I can kind of like, okay.
Exhale. Just enough. Exhale just enough.
According to me, okay, this is different now, right?
But really now it's actually starting. Like everything's actually starting.
No.
But it's all good. You got the energy. We're good. You got the sport crew. The world's listening.
Yeah, man.
It's good. Yes. Keep in touch. Like I said, digitally, I'll keep an eye on you.
I'll send you some stuff right now.
Let's do it.
You gotta see this.
My dude. All right. I'll reach out to you soon.
All right. Be well.
Thank you, Syn. You too.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining Turmeric and Tequila with your host, Kristen Olson. Tune in next time, and don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.